So it's tough being a right-wing person on the internet these days. Sometimes you're a mentally challenged man, obsessed with children's toys and movies. But it's election season in the USA, so you try to rebrand as a political mover and shaker, but you don't know the difference between the 19th and the 25th Amendment. Sometimes you're a dumb old boomer who's actually fallen in love with Donald Trump rather than just supporting him, so if someone else doesn't fillet him as much as you do, you lose your mind and have to go on an apology tour after everyone points out what a loser you are. Sometimes you're just Tim Pool. But it ain't all a comfortable bed of roses over on the left either, as Keffel's back will contest. But after years of bullying, I finally made Keffels leave the internet forever. It was nothing to do with a huge YouTuber accusing him of fraud and everyone turning against him or anything. It was all me. And then we have the Krassenstein twins, two tiny little government employees who spend all their time lying on behalf of the state on Twitter. Now, how does everyone know they're a couple of feds? Well, their houses were raided by the FBI. They seized $500,000 from them on account of them allegedly committing vast amounts of wire fraud through website companies they owned. They never got that money back, but no charges were ever filed against them, and they just walked free. So who knows how that happened, eh? Probably just a silly coincidence. But how did they become some of the biggest political propaganda accounts on Twitter? Well, that's just an honest tale of buying a Justin Bieber fan account and changing its account name to their own. So you can see these guys are on the up and up, of course. And in between shilling for the regime and lying about everything, the tiny twosome are often tweeting about their one true passion, nude time with children, and their dad. You know, typical leftist stuff. So now we understand that these little fellows are just misunderstood good guys. So why am I talking about them? Now, while regular viewers of this channel are intellectuals ahead of the curve and will remember me discussing these clowns and their shenanigans a year ago, it seems everyone else is a little slow on the uptake. But finally, people are starting to see these guys for what they are. Criminal grifters, allegedly. Which is leading Brian to give up his new time with his dad to write huge cope essays about he and his brother are perfect in every single way. It's just a coincidence their house got raided and all that stuff was seized and not given back and they walked free. It's just a coincidence they own the domain humiliatedschoolgirls.com. They're not PDF files or anything. You are in fact a bigot for thinking that. Stop believing your lying eyes. And after that War and Peace post, in an effort to prove how honest and open they truly are, Brains Krassenstein states an open question for everyone. Ask me anything. I am an open book. So someone asks, how do you make money? Fair question. And 3 minutes after his first comment, Brains says, none of your business. Sorry. So as you can see, these guys are smart. So more and more people are realizing these guys are some of the biggest con men and criminals, allegedly, on the internet, which has led to some big, well-known accounts getting in on the act, like this fellow, Dr. Simon Goddek, who really started going hard at him, exposing that despite their denials, they very obviously did purchase their Twitter accounts. Ed Krassenstein's been a Justin Bieber fan account, and Brains Krassenstein's been a Jonas Brother account. So even when they're doing shady stuff, they find a way to make it cringe. And also on Facebook, they were trying to manipulate the growth of their groups on there by using the tragedy of the 2010 Haiti earthquake to gain followers with lies about donating to help, saying if they reached 10 million group members, they would empty their bank accounts, which is totally unattainable. Just all for completely inorganic social media followings, of course. And speaking of followings that need to be built, Elon Musk, the free speech advocate, banned my account for absolutely nothing. So if you were following me on there, you might want to follow this totally unrelated guy on there. Links in the description. And then we move on to blackmail, where Brains lived up to his name and posted what was obviously intended to be a blackmail DM to somebody called Becky as a public tweet. So it really makes you wonder what they're getting up to behind the scenes. And let's come back to the fraud we discussed earlier with some court documents, where the court clearly states that the incest twins have conspired to commit wire fraud, and the Krassensteins were so not guilty they agreed to forfeit $450,000 and they just walked. Now, how many times has that happened where the defendant admits that the property that was worth that money was purchased with the proceeds of crime? Give it to the state and just get off scot-free otherwise. Well, unless you agree to become a paid state operative for the government, that never happens. When you admit to a crime, normally they take your ill-gotten gains and then send you to jail, normally. And I mean, it's just a total coincidence that they post things about loving the FBI and show the government line, no matter how silly it may be, 100% of the time on social media, isn't it? This has all resulted in Brains writing out a very childish cease and desist notice via Twitter DMs, which of course all lawyers do, insisting he is going to sue, including the great line that he has never harassed any wildlife, which he did. He posted on Twitter how he molested a manatee, such are these guys' depravity, and at the end of this totally serious legal letter, he meekly asks for an address so he can really, totally, honestly sue this guy. I mean, if you are DMing people seething about how people think you are harassing wildlife, you might want to stop and think about where you might have gone wrong in life. I don't know. So yeah, We might have had our eye on the ball over here and been aware of these clowns for a long time, but finally, these jackasses and their clownish nonsense is becoming mainstream and everyone is realizing what weird perverts and frauds they truly are. So sorry for the long wait between videos, life gets in the way sometimes, but I'm going to start making a lot more. The USA election season is sure going to bring some hilarious drama. I'm positive of that. Follow me on Twitter as well. That's it for today's video. Don't forget to like and share and subscribe to see more content like this. Thanks, boy.